Bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Well. How you doing? Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Today's Monday, May 9th. 130 days into the new year, 234 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. I'd like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. It's Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I'm your so humble host, Jimmy Church. What's cracking? Tonight, kicking off another week, very special guest Bruce Gagnon is with us, who is the coordinator of the Global Network Against Weapons and Nuclear Power in Space. Can't wait. Tomorrow night, part 2 of The Real John Lear. Spoke to John over the weekend a couple of times. He's fired up, ready to go. Yeah, we've tested. Tomorrow night, John Lear. Wednesday night, back with us, Linda Moulton Howe. And then, you know, Linda's got a bunch of stuff that she's reporting on, and so we're going to cover that, and a little piece on the Sphinx and some other stuff. So we'll be doing that Wednesday night. And of course, Linda's going to be at Conscious Life, Contact in the Desert. And then right after Linda on Wednesday, we're going to have Victoria and Paul here from Contact in the Desert, the producers and promoters and the ones that run the show out there, Contact in the Desert, what we can expect at this year's 2016 conference out in the desert. It is going to be an amazing night. So that's our week. And then, of course, Thursday night, John Rappaport will be here with his No More Fake Newsroom. All right, let's get this show cracking. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio, Facebook, YouTube, you know what to do. You're over on our website right now. Just go and click follow, like, and subscribe. Do it. You can email throughout the show tonight, Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. And if you are in TweetDeck, use the hashtag F2B. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Come and hang out with us. It's friendly. It's fun. And no yahoos allowed. Any questions or comments during the show tonight? Hashtag F2BQ is the questions. You know what to do. Now, to support yourself, support the show, you know what to do. Life Change Tea, GetTheTea.com. They have a specials page over there. Go and use it. Use the promo code Jimmy, Jimmy. Get yourself some free shipping. Always have really good deals over on the website, so go and do it. Studio Dome, yes. True wireless stereo technology, the newest Bluetooth technology, high fidelity rig 2 speakers, hard shell case, $129, free shipping, everything that you need right now. Use the promo code JCRTWS. Go click on the banners. Contact in the Desert is coming up in, I can't even believe it, in 3 short weeks. We will be in Joshua Tree, California. Yes, Graham Hancock, Robert Bivall, Giorgio Tsoukalos, David Wilcock, Eric Von Daniken, George Norrie, Jim Mars, David Hatcher Childers, Danny Sheehan, and, of course, Linda Moulton Howe, and 40 other speakers. Humongo greatness in the desert, June 3rd through the 6th. Roswell Festival coming up right after that, June 30th through July 3rd in Roswell, New Mexico. Cannot wait. And then our newest, latest addition to the summer is the Awareness Life Expo. That's right, at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Sacramento, California. August 13th and 14th, Lori McDonald, Victor Camacho, Patty Greer, Holly Cook, Len Kasten, and a bunch of other speakers, and it's going to be great. Panels. There's going to be an experiencer group, all kinds of things, and we will be there. Awareness Life Expo. And the website also is over at jimmychurchradio.com. If you just go to the right-hand side, you'll see Jimmy's appearances on the side right there. You can go and do it. All of the websites are there. So, Crown Plaza Hotel, Sacramento, California, August 13th and 14th. And let me tell you something. That's a great lineup of speakers. And the promoters and the people behind this are just amazing. And it's going to be a great time. Okay, Crown Plaza, what's not to like? Sacramento, August. It's going to be amazing. I know one person that's going to be there, Nurse Nancy. She's going to drive about 2 blocks. Yeah. Okay, Sacramento, California, Awareness Life Expo. Let's get the show cracking. Today, Billy Joel is 67 years old. Rita and I, we were driving the other day, and Billy Joel comes on the radio, right? We're cranking it up, and we're rocking. And she goes, wasn't this from like the 80s? I said, baby, this is 1974. She's like, really? I said, yeah, man. He goes back. Billy Joel's been doing it for a long time. 67 years young. Depeche Mode frontman Dave Gahan today is 54. Albert Finney is 80. Unbelievable. Miller's Crossing. Loved him in Big Fish. He was smoking good in A Good Year. Love that movie. He was also in The Bourne Ultimatum and whatever the one after that was, the other Bourne film. He was in Skyfall, too. Love me some Albert Finney. Big Fish. Was that the ending? Was that the tearjerker ending of all movies? Big Fish. Albert Finney. Our dead guy's birthday today is, it's a big one. Happy birthday to Howard Carter. 1874 to 1939, died at the age of 64. Of course, he was the man who discovered the tomb of King Tut in 1923. He was the first chief inspector of the Egyptian Antiquities Service, by the way. And there you go. Happy birthday, Howard Carter. I've got some news that we'll be talking about in a bit on King Tut's tomb. Twitter. I got to do this because I know I'm a heavy metal guy. You know, I am. I'm just I'm a Dimebag Darrell, Randy Rhoads, Tony Iommi kind of guy. You know, I just am. But I love me some Depeche Mode. I do. So I got to go. I got to do this for everybody. I know you Fadernauts are with me. What's your favorite? What's the greatest Depeche Mode song? I'll never forget here in Southern California when they rolled through here and sold out the Rose Bowl. You know, I mean, how big are you when, you know, not the whiskey, not the Roxy, right? Not the Staples, the Rose Bowl, Depeche Mode. And so I was just like, I was just going off my brain. I'm like, well, of course, Enjoy the Silence, Personal Jesus. If you need a toe tapper, you've got Just Can't Get Enough, Strange Love, people are people. And the list is long, man. Depeche Mode is huge, right? What's your favorite Depeche Mode song? Come on, bring it. All right, on this day in history, 1950, L. Ron Hubbard publishes Dianetics. And the big scam started on this day in 1950. Fader fact, sharks have survived 5, not 4, not 3, not 2. Sharks have survived 5 mass extinctions. That's crazy, isn't it? When you just wrap your brain around that for a second. See? You guys get it? Oh, look at the Randy Rhodes. Let me. That's what I'm talking about. The Carl Sandoval Flying V. Yeah. Or is that the Jackson? Can't tell. All right, Billy Joel. See, that's why this show was so great. That's why it's great to hang out with you guys. You guys get it. Tonight, we have very special guest. Bruce Gagnon is here. He is the coordinator of the Global Network Against Weapons and Nuclear Power in Space. Tomorrow night, John Lear is back with us. And then Wednesday, Linda Moulton Howe. And then we're going to have a very special guest appearance with Victoria and Paul from Contact in the Desert. Well, check this out. This weekend, that was like the hotel on the way to the freeway. Yeah, Nurse Nancy's all happy. All right. This weekend, we did it, finally. We watched Star Wars, The Force Awakens. And I'm not going to rant on that because it was a good flick. It was cool. It was a remake of Star Wars. I get that. And it felt like a throwback film, if you will. It was good. It was cool. And then we watched another film right after that called The Fifth Wave. Have any of you seen The Fifth Wave? The Fifth Wave. The movie is it's an alien invasion film, right? And obviously there's 5 waves of this invasion, and this is the movies about the 5th wave. Cool flick. Interesting points that were brought out in the film. And then earlier today, I actually watched the movie Signs. So, it's like a science fiction weekend, right? Bam! Have you guys been watching Dice, by the way? Watch me some Dice this weekend. Anyway, and when you have that kind of science fiction weekend, it causes conversations all the way around. And with that, also, yesterday was Mother's Day, and we got the family together. And my father-in-law, who is one of the smartest dudes that I know, turns to me and was asking me these different conspiracy questions. And I thought that was interesting. So we got off into that. And we, so I kind of want to talk about where my brain was this weekend. Okay, so last night, talking about, this alien invasion, how it would happen and who, what, when, where, why, I always fall back to one thing. What is it that we do? What is it that we do? We don't have any idea about anything except how we would do it. And it doesn't matter what we're talking about, but it's, how would you do it? How would we deal with certain things? And considering an alien invasion, right, of planet Earth, how would it happen? Would it just be the friendly, take me to your leader, let's work out a deal, we're just coming by, we just want to visit, and we're going to go along our merry way. It's good to see you guys. It's good to visit. We'll check you guys out in a few when we drive back by. Could it be that? Could it be like, some crazy Independence Day thing? Could it be something like that? We don't know. But what would we do? What would we do? Let me give you an example. When a subdivision wants to be built, right? Some investor wants to build a subdivision somewhere on somebody's peach tree farm, right? They buy the farm, 10,000 acres. What do? We just go in, bulldozers, mow down the peach trees. The little baby peaches are screaming, no. They are, literally, no. But we do it because we can, because we want to. You know, no concern for the birds that would be nesting in those trees, or the insects, or the squirrels, or the chipmunks, or anything else that's living in this orchard. Just go in there and plow it down and throw in some houses. We don't care. Last night, during this conversation of this, I looked down at my feet on our back patio, and I see next to this wooden barrel thing that we have on the back patio, and I see spider web with a big black widow sitting right in the middle of it with the moonlight dancing off of it. I was like, wow. I don't even think twice. What do? Walk into the house, grab some insect spray from underneath the sink, walk outside, and I spray the said black widow. Don't care. That's what we do. It's what we do. If we needed tomorrow, Earth is too hot to live, the oceans are poisoned, we can't grow food, Earth is on its way out, and we look and we got Mars sitting up there. And let's just say that there's something alive on Mars that is in our way. But we can take it out, and then we can go and terraform the planet and get it going. You know what we're going to do. It's just like that orchard I just told you about. Or that bug spray that was sprayed on that black widow. We're going to go and bug spray and mow down Mars. But wait, Jimmy, wait, no. You know what the voices are going to be saying here on Earth. It doesn't matter. When can you have Mars ready? When can we go? Because we're starving here. We can't grow food. We can't breathe the air. We can't swim in the ocean. We can't do anything. We've wasted this planet. When are you going to have Mars ready? Because we gots to go. That'll be the question. And it doesn't matter how nice we are, or how nice whatever it is on Mars that we got to plow out of the way. It's not going to come into question our survival. Our children, our grandchildren, that's the talk. That'll be the talk. We need to keep this going. And we're going to clear out Mars or whatever other planet we would use. So when we're talking about an alien invasion of us, I mean, hey, I'm not here to freak everybody out. I'm just saying, look at us. We just do whatever we got to do. We've done some shameful things throughout history. This very country, United States, look what we did here. We just took it over from our very own. Plowed it over. It's just the way that we deal with things. So, alien invasion here, look, it could be some friendly flower-waving ETs. Super smart and advanced, the flowing hair, the gowns. It could be that. Peace, music playing when they step off their craft. It could be. It could be that. But what would we do? What would we do? I'm not so sure if Now, it's one thing to come and visit the planet, do some drive-bys, some exploratory craft, flying saucer-ish type things flying around. That's what we do, right? It's what we do. So we can expect that. But if it comes down to somebody needing our planet, not needing us, but needing our planet, I'm not so sure if we would see it coming. I'm not so sure. Why would we? Why would they care to let us know that they are coming? Well, I don't think we would ever know. Just spoke about sharks, right? Surviving 5 mass extinctions. Right? Do you think that any of those mass extinctions saw it coming? No, of course not. That's why it happens. It's a very strange way to look at it. And when I say, and I want you to go with me on this, when I say look at us first. Not our benevolent sides. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the natural thing. The natural things that we do. Bug zappers. we literally put bug zappers in our backyards. You've got company coming over. What do? You walk around with bug spray in the backyard, just whatever. That's what we do. And if we needed to move south or move north, man, that's what we're going to pack up, and we're going to go and occupy where we need to survive. We've done it for thousands of years. That's what we do. We overtake. And if we needed Mars, we're going to go and take Mars. It doesn't matter who's there or what's there. We're going to terraform it. We're going to make it habitable for us, and we're going to live on that planet because we need to move forward. It's what we do. I have said so many times here that the reason why we are exploring the planets, the galaxies, the solar system, it's because from the very dawn of man, we've been looking up at the stars. It's what we do. We look, we wonder what's out there. All of those stars. Is there another planet? Is there another us out there? It's what we do. So therefore, them, are doing the exact same thing. You have to look at the way we are. Our curiosity. Wondering what is out there. Trust me, they are doing the very same thing, and they know that we are here. It's just the way to look at it. Felt sorry for the Black Widow last night. I did. I did. But I would hate for one of my dogs to get bit by the Black Widow. Or me, for that matter. So what do? You dust it. Psst. No concern about the Black Widow's kids, their house. Wipe it out. Done. It's the way we are. And this is Fade to Black. What's up, everybody? After that downer. But it's just the way to look at it. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. It just allows you to just keep your eyes open and be sensible about things. It could be good. It could be very bad. We may not even know it when it happens. All right. I talked about Howard Carter a little bit earlier. It's his birthday today. Well, the theory that King Tut's tomb contains secret chambers has been greeted with skepticism at the international conference that just happened over in Cairo. The growing doubts prompted the Egyptian Antiquities Minister Khaled El-Elani to reassure that no physical exploration inside the tomb is planned at this time. His predecessor, Mamdouh El-Mahdi, had already confirmed that analysis of radar scans carried out by the Japanese specialist Hirokatsu Watanabe revealed 2 hidden spaces on the north and eastern walls that could contain metal and or organic material. But now, very suddenly, they're backing off. It's very interesting, and I don't know why. To me, even if there is a suspicion of rooms on the other side of that tomb, you drill holes. Nothing's going to happen. There's going to be no curse of the pharaohs laying down on everybody. Drill a hole. Pop a camera in there and check it out. No harm, no foul. It's not going to be any big deal. Just drill a hole. Whether that hole is a foot, 3 foot, whatever, drill the hole, get a camera in there. That's all you got to do. What's the big deal? It's a crazy about face on all of this. What I am thinking is there's a room or rooms. That's what I'm thinking. And they just don't want to reveal it. They know something is there and they don't want to do it. And it's crazy what drives Egypt when it comes to this. It's amazing to me. Well, if you haven't seen it, if you go to our Facebook page for Jimmy Church Radio, we got a picture there. You have to check it out. There is a bug, an insect over a half a meter, that's 1.6 feet long, discovered in southern China and has now officially been declared the world's longest insect. It's one of those stick bugs, right? Measuring 62.4 centimeters. That's 24.6 inches long. Now, that's it. Put your hands out in front of you. Go 2 feet. Think about this. Found 2 years ago in the southern province of Guangxi, has broken the record for the length among the world's 807,625 known insects. The previous record holder was a Malaysian 56.7 centimeter long, that's 22.3 inches, stick insect that was discovered back in 2008, which is now on display in London's Natural History Museum. I'll say it again, a half a meter long. Think about that. It is gnarly looking. You got to go check it out. This is Fade to Black. I'm going to get out of here. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. When I come back, that's right, Bruce Gagnon is going to be here. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Follow us right now on Twitter @JChurchRadio. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I got to tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil 3-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS. gagnon.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Klutsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, very special guest Bruce Gagnon is with us. He's the coordinator of the Global Network Against Weapons and Nuclear Power in Space. Tomorrow night, the real John Lear is here. And then, of course, Wednesday night, Linda Moulton Howe is back, followed by Victoria and Paul. It's a duet. They're playing at the Holiday Inn. The call-in number tonight, 323-825-5045. Let's get straight to it. Bruce is in the batter's box. Bruce is the coordinator of the Global Network Against Nuclear Weapons and Power in Space. He was the co-founder of the Global Network when it was created back in 1992. He has been fighting the good fight for a very long time. Between 1983 and 1998, he was the state coordinator of the Florida Coalition for Peace and Justice and has worked on space issues for over 30 years. In 1987, he organized the largest peace protest in Florida ever when over 5,000 people marched on Cape Canaveral in opposition to the first flight test of the Trident II nuclear missile. He was the organizer of the Cancel Cassini campaign, launched 72 pounds of plutonium into space, if you remember, back in 1997, that drew enormous support and media coverage around the world and was featured on the TV program 60 Minutes. Bruce has traveled and spoken in England, Germany, Mexico, Canada, France, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Japan, Australia, Scotland, Wales, Greece, India, Brazil, Portugal, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Czech Republic, South Korea, and, of course, throughout the United States. He just got back from the Ukraine. His website is spaceforpeace.org. I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Bruce Gagnon. Bruce, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, Bruce, welcome to the program. I'm going to let everybody know you just got back from the Ukraine and you got a bug. And and Bruce called me up earlier today. He's like, Jimmy, man, I was like, oh, really, Bruce? You know, it was the phone call when you call your boss, you know, when you're sick and you want to make sure that you really sound sick, you know. And so, Bruce, welcome to the program and hang as long as you can tonight, okay, my brother?
All right.
Now, I want to do one of two things here. You just got back from Ukraine, and that is a crazy situation that's going on over there. So I'm kind of inclined, Bruce, if you don't mind, almost to save that for another show, because that's a 2-hour conversation about what the United States is doing over in the Ukraine. And tonight, I'm torn because you just got back from the Ukraine, and I saw your report, and I'm just like, holy crap! This is something that the world is not talking about, and this deserves something. But also, probably just as important is what is going on with the pressures that the United States is doing against the Soviet Union and China, against the rest of the world too, for that matter. So we've only got so much time tonight, and I want to try to get as much in as possible. And I think it is such an important concern with what is going on in space. And a couple of weeks ago, and this is where I want to start, if you don't mind. A couple of weeks ago, I had spoken about the amount of, well, I've done it a few times over the years, but the amount of satellites that are in space that are ours. Space is us. We won that. And it's something that most of the world just doesn't understand what the United States is doing out there in space and the amount of satellites that are ours versus the rest of the world. And we've done it so we can dominate what is going on Earth, right? And it is, I think nobody really understands the importance of this, and this is exactly what you campaign about.
That's right. Since the late 80s, early 90s, the U.S. Space Command has been saying that the U.S. will control and dominate space and deny other countries access to space, and that, in fact, we will be the master of space. And at Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado Springs, right on their doorway of the Space Command, the Air Force Space Command, they have that as a logo, Master of Space. I like to call it Master of Disaster. So this is the operational mission that the Space Command has been given by the Pentagon to make sure that the United States controls space and can deny other countries access to space. Well, that's very provocative. And Russia and China and other countries are saying, oh, wait a minute, we're not going to have you do that, because, we've got to ask the question, dominate space and the Earth below on whose behalf? And the answer to that question is on corporate globalization's behalf, not me and you and the everyday Joe Schmo, but in fact the corporate interest, who are now extracting water, extracting oil, natural gas, rare minerals in Africa, parts of Latin America. In fact, the military has really become the primary resource extraction service for corporate globalization. So this space technology has a real fundamental purpose, and that's what it is. And
when we talk about space, one of the important aspects of it, first off, is of course GPS, and what goes on during wartime down here on terra firma. You control that, and you're going to be able to control what's going down, in a conflict here on Earth. And certainly we tested all of those waters in the Middle East over the last 20, 25 years to make sure that the implementation of that intent is working. And that's exactly what they've done in the guise of the commercialization of it. And you and I can have GPS in our cars and our cell phones, but actually it's a bad intention.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hell of an expensive operation. The Pentagon and the military-industrial complex has long bragged that Star Wars, what I call Star Wars, all of this combined, will be the largest industrial project in the history of the planet Earth. And some years ago, in one of the industry publications called Space News, a weekly, they had an editorial where they said, we've got to be responsible corporate citizens. We've got to come up with a dedicated funding source to pay for all of these technologies because they do cost so much. And often you launch a rocket, it blows up, satellite blows up, the rocket blows up, you got to start all over. You're out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. And so they said, we've now identified that funding source, dedicated funding source. We're sending our lobbyists to Washington to secure it. And they said it's the entitlement programs that officially are Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and what's left of the welfare program after Bill Clinton got finished with it. So these are the programs that the military-industrial complex has identified to defund in order to pay for endless war.
Well, and when it comes to our technology right now, and I'm talking about with the Department of Defense, is there any country in the world right now that could even think about challenging us?
Russia and China are slowly catching up, but Russia got set back after the fall of the Soviet Union in the early 90s. That when the Harvard boys went into Russia and just privatized the economy, sold off all the assets to a bunch of rich guys. And so Russia really fell back far. In fact, many of their military satellites today are so outdated that they really can't even see what's coming their way. So if the United States launched a preemptive first strike attack on Russia, a lot of the Russian satellites wouldn't be able to see the U.S. nukes coming their way. China is making a little more progress, but they both have a very long way to go. But they both are very determined not to allow the United States to be the sole master of space. But at the same time, much to their credit, both those countries have repeatedly gone to the United Nations General Assembly and introduced every year through for the last, I'd say 25, 30 years during Republican and Democrat presidential administrations, introduced a resolution calling for a global ban on weapons in space. Let's close the door to the barn before the horse gets out. And the U.S. and Israel have been blocking that treaty because the old treaties, the only two treaties that exist now, the Outer Space Treaty and the Moon Treaty, are so outdated in terms of technologies that neither one of them really do the job anymore. So Russia and China have been begging us to develop a new treaty, and we've been absolutely refusing because we are king of the hill right now.
Why is it, Bruce? I feel this so much, and I'm a proud American citizen. Let's just stop right there. I love my country, but there's one thing that happens over and over again that it trips me out, and that's missile defense. It's like we are the only ones that are allowed to have it, right? When we hear about another country installing a missile defense system, it's like we get upset. And I mean, really upset. And we want to go and put missiles on everybody's borders, right? But if they want to put in a missile defense system or do anything to counterbalance what we are doing, we cry foul.
In Russia's case, they get accused of being provocative.
Right.
It used to be the old ABM treaty, the anti-ballistic missile treaty that the U.S. had with Russia, outlawed missile defense systems because they would give one side an advantage over the other in the old mutual assured destruction, right? Either side could blow each other up, so there was no incentive to do it. Missile defense is the new technological twist to give advantage. And what that means is if you launch a first strike attack, let's say against Russia, and they try to fire their retaliatory nuclear capability after your first strike, your missile defense, the U.S. missile defense system, would pick off those remaining retaliatory strikes by Russia and give the U.S. a quote-unquote successful first strike attack. And in fact, this week on Thursday, a new missile defense operation will be christened in Romania. A new one will start work in Poland. There's already some missile defense deployments in Poland. There's a U.S. missile defense radar in Turkey, and Aegis destroyers, Navy Aegis destroyers, made in my hometown of Bath, Maine, are outfitted with missile defense systems. And in fact, those ships have the best testing record of all. There's various kinds of missile defense systems, but the ones on the ships have the best testing record. And so the U.S. is basically encircling Russia, and at the same time China under Obama's pivot into the Asia-Pacific with these missile defense systems. And so what's the reaction? What's the response from Russia and China? They say, wait a minute, we can't afford to discuss any more reductions of nuclear weapons. We'd like to, but we can't because now with missile defense, it used to be illegal under the ABM Treaty. When George W. Bush became president, he pulled the U.S. out of it, and missile defense was on steroids ever since. And so Russia and China say, we can't afford to reduce our nuclear capability right now. We're too vulnerable. And in fact, we're going to have to build new generations. We don't want to. We really can't afford to. It's interesting that the Stockholm Peace Research Institute last year in 2015 looked at the totals for military spending around the world. Who spent how much? The U.S. spent 34% of the world total. Russia spent 4.8% of the world total. And when you add up the NATO share to the U.S. side, it's well over 50%. And today we see NATO expanding into Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, and other countries, and throughout the Black Sea and Mediterranean Sea with these ships that I was just referring to. So Russia is on edge. I think if we just imagine the reverse, if we imagine Russia or China putting bases in Canada or Mexico,
right,
putting so-called missile defense systems in Canada or Mexico or on ships off either one of our two coasts, or maybe our three coasts, even the Gulf of Mexico, we would go ballistic.
And that's exactly my point. And didn't we, the United States and NATO, after the Soviet Union fell, didn't we, just refresh my memory, Bruce, you're the smart guy here, didn't we say, don't worry about it, NATO's not going to, move any further east? And then the next thing you know, that little buffer zone that the Soviet Union had has completely disappeared because we have literally pushed NATO right up against Russia's borders.
That's right. At that time, James Baker was Secretary of State for the United States. Mikhail Gorbachev was worried about the reunification of Germany. Germany, as most people know, invaded former Soviet Union during World War II. Soviets lost 25 million people in defeating the Nazis. And most honest historians give the Russians the credit for defeating the Nazis. The United States lost less than 500,000, or just maybe right around 500,000 troops, not to minimize those lives, but it's nothing compared to the 25 million in the Soviet Union. And so they were worried about a reunited, rearmed Germany. And so James Baker promised Mikhail Gorbachev, at that time the leader of the Soviet Union, that NATO would not expand 1 centimeter to the east. When Bill Clinton became president, he violated that promise, and again, NATO has been on steroids ever since. The NATO countries, just recently, Obama went to Europe just a week ago or two, and he made the rounds, twisting everybody's arm, telling NATO they got to pump more money into the military because Russia is being provocative. And why is Russia being provocative? Well, NATO has just announced they're going to put 5,000 troops in Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, a permanent base, rotating schedule. And so Russia said, well, actually, that's not a good thing for us. We're going to have 3 new units that we're going to put on our border right near there as a defensive measure. And the United States and NATO, Washington, Brussels, London, Paris, what I call the corporate axis, immediately calling Russia provocative, trying to start a war.
Is the encirclement that is going on not only with Russia but China too as well? There's the military side of it, but there's also the economical and the collapse of oil, which is certainly intentional, on our part. to, collapse their economy, and they won't be able to support the military. They'll have to back up and force King Putin. We call him King Poo here on Fade to Black, by the way. We love Putin. Save the email, everybody. To force Putin to capitulate and to back off. Is that another method and is that what's going on?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what's going on. And, the U.S. is all about regime change anymore, whether it's Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Yemen, Syria. I mean, you name it. Now Brazil. But I like to dig down and try to have a better understanding about what's driving this case. You probably heard of Stratfor. George Friedman's the CEO of Stratfor. It's kind of like the privatized CIA.
Right.
Corporations get intelligence from Stratfor. I heard him speak one time about 2 years ago, and he basically made the case for the need for regime change in Moscow. And what I've been able to put together is the following. Number one, grab Russia's natural gas. They have the biggest supply on the planet. Number two, control the long Russian border with the Arctic Sea as climate change melts the ice and makes it possible to drill, baby, drill up there in the Arctic. Number three, stop the advance of BRICS, B-R-I-C-S, which stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, the alternative economic structure that is out to compete with the IMF and the World Bank and not exploit people when they get loans, forcing them to hollow out their country and turn everything over to the corporations. And in fact, we're seeing again in Brazil this very effort to destroy a BRICS country, and they're working on many of them at one time. And then finally, punish Russia for helping to stabilize the situation in Syria and for opposing other Western regime changes around the globe. But you'll never read any of those points in any of the so-called corporate media in this country. It's not allowed.
What has, I know it's a short list, but what has Russia done or China to us? As China's bought up a bunch of our land and production and offsetting of GMPs and stuff. I get all of that, and exports. But have they ever done anything provocative to us like we have done to them?
Well, I have to be honest with you. I don't think so. The United States today has, according to David Vine at American University, political scientist, got a new book out called Base Nation. He says that U.S. has about 1,000 military bases today. Well, how many does Russia have? As far as I know, they might have 2 in Syria, an Air Force base and a Navy base. They have one in the stands, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, one of those stands on their southern border. They have a base there. And beyond that, I'm not so sure that I know of any more. I've been looking. So let's say they have 5, okay? Just, to be generous here. So who's the big daddy? Who's the big bully out there, if not us?
And, and I'm not trying to sound pro-Russian. I'm just saying that it seems like we don't like it both ways. We just want it one way. And I'm not comfortable in some of our positions that we have taken, because just out of fairness, when you look at the South China Sea right now, and we're screaming and just freaked out about, but we have bases all over the place down there, and I don't understand where and it's not even anywhere close to the United States borders, right? I mean, it's thousands and thousands of miles away, but we don't even want China to play in their own backyard. It's like that's not allowed, but we can.
Yeah, and China imports 80% of their oil on ships. And so they've always been concerned about this U.S. pivot into the Asia-Pacific, where the U.S. is moving 60% of its military forces, particularly the Navy, out into that region. And they know that they would be vulnerable to a choking off of their importation of oil. And that's why they've been trying to establish a couple more of these little tiny bases along the pathway, if you will, as they import their oil, because they're totally vulnerable. And they know, everybody knows, what the United States has been capable of over the years.
And then tying this back into, which oddly enough, it all fits together, which is the domination of space, which allows us to control all of these corridors around the world and not allowing anybody else into these corridors. We need to dominate those militarily, and we have space to ensure that, and they know this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a bizarre, it's a conundrum, right?
It's empire.
Yeah, it's an empire.
And the empire is bleeding the American people. We don't have jobs anymore. Our infrastructure's fallen apart. Our schools, our mental health systems. So the human and the physical infrastructure of the country is collapsing all around us. And I believe that it's an intentional process because the corporations don't care about the United States anymore, even though they talk big about it. I mean, look at all the jobs they've moved overseas, and now they don't like to pay taxes in this country anymore. Trump's been talking a lot about that. And so anyway, it's a game of empire, and we, the American people, are last on the list. We've been scratched off, and I always say we're now going to be put on the reservation.
What do you think? We're going to be heading towards a break here in about 2 minutes, Bruce. What do you think about the moon and how that sits? That was supposed to be off limits, just like Antarctica, and that's all going to change too very soon. But do we want all hands off of the moon too as well? Is that something else that we've planted an American flag on?
Well, there are two treaties, the Moon Treaty and the Outer Space Treaty, that say that no country, no corporation, no individual can make land claims on any of the planetary bodies or the province of all humankind. And the UN had foresight in doing this because they knew that someday we would develop the technology to be able to go out and mine the sky. And they didn't want to start a new war system out into the heavens, so to speak, right? It's like, think about Columbus and all the other European countries when they were sailing looking for the New World. And pretty soon they were all cutting each other's throat, trying to control the resources, the routes to these new places. And so that's what the UN feared about space. But just last November 25th, Obama signed the U.S. Commercial Space Law Competitiveness Act, the final version of a commercial space bill approved by the House and Senate. Most of the bills devoted to issues regarding commercial space transportation, including extensions of third-party launch, indemnification, and restrictions on regulations. But one section of the law that has received a lot of attention is about space resources, and that section states that U.S. citizens shall have rights to any resources they extract from asteroids, moons, or other planetary bodies. And so the U.S. once again is saying, fuck international law. We're not going to play the game anymore with the UN. We're the master not only of space, but we're master of the universe, and we're going to control everything. This is provocative and dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight, Bruce Gagnon, and we are talking about nuclear weapons in space, global dominance, what that technology really means, and what the intentions are. It's a fascinating conversation. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. More with Bruce right after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
Hey folks, Life Change Tea here, reminding you that colds and flus suck. Feeling lousy sucks, and allergies really can be annoying. What if you could change that? What if you could drink something that changed the sick and tired scenario? Well, you can change how you feel with a little help from Life Change Tea. Life Change Tea is a drink you make, you control, and you drink. There are 8 organic herbs that blend together and give you what you need to fight the flus and colds of this world. Less sickness is more relief. Life Change Tea can help with high blood pressure, constipation, high cholesterol, and much, much more just by drinking the tea. Read the numerous testimonies at getthetea.com. If you're tired of feeling lousy, order right now at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call us at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. If you've heard this commercial more than once and someone's trying to tell you something, it's time to get well. GetTheTea.com.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to JimmyChurchRadio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, very special guest Bruce Gagnon is here. He's the coordinator of the Global Network Against Weapons and Nuclear Power in Space. Tomorrow night, John Lear is here. And then on Wednesday, Linda Moulton Howe. And Thursday night, open lines with John Rappaport and the No More Fake Newsroom. Bruce, we were talking right before the break about the moon and commercialization, but there's a reason why we got to that point. We got the jump on everybody when it comes to space technology and what's going on. How did that fundamentally happen, and how were we able to leave everybody else in the dust so quickly?
Well, after World War II, the U.S. smuggled, underline the word smuggled, 1,500 Nazis into the U.S. under a program called Operation Paperclip. The Reinhard Gehlen, the head of Nazi intelligence, was brought to the U.S., brought in to help create the CIA. After a while, after they ran him through the hoops for a couple of years, they sent him back to Germany, and here you have this new country, West Germany, and they put him in charge of German intelligence. Now imagine that, right? we beat the Nazis. The Russians, the United States, the Allies beat the Nazis, and then the U.S. puts the head of Nazi intelligence back in running West German intelligence. Crazy, right?
Yeah, right.
Amongst those other people in the 1,500 that were brought here were, of course, the rocket team that ran the V-1 and V-2 rocket program for Hitler, Werner von Braun, Major General Walter Dornberger. Dornberger was the head of the operation. Von Braun was, of course, the leading scientist. And Dornberger testified before the Congress of the United States in the early 50s. He brought forward a vision of orbiting battle stations that he said would allow the United States to control the planet. And he told the Congress, quote, "Gentlemen, I didn't come to this country to lose the Third World War. I lost 2 already." And so this is the kind of people that were brought to this country to create the U.S. space program that was military from the first day, despite the claims otherwise, NASA and all that stuff. And I've always asked the question, was there an ideological contamination when that comes along with 1,500 of the top Nazi operatives? I believe that there indeed was. One book that I highly recommend that people read, it's a fairly new book, The Devil's Chessboard, Alan Dulles, the CIA, and the Rise of America's Secret Government by David Talbot. It's an unbelievable book that really tells the entire story about how the Dulles brothers just essentially turned our government over to the Nazis. And it's been that way ever since. And so it's no coincidence then that today we're out there trying to make war with Russia, we're trying to make war with China, and that we become a eternal blitzkrieg nation, just like Adolf Hitler. Now, I know that sounds highly inflammatory, but I think it's true. And, you know, I myself grew up in a military family. My dad was a career military man, Air Force. In 1971, I joined the Air Force myself. I actually flunked my induction physical. I had to get a waiver to get in when most people were trying to get waivers to stay out of the Vietnam War. And I was sent to a base in California that was an airlift base for the war in Vietnam. And it changed my life being there. But one of the things that really, really, really was fundamental to my own change was reading the Pentagon Papers, the government's secret history about how our government lied to us about creating the Vietnam War. And so ever since that time, I say everything is possible. Everything has to be considered because we are indeed a renegade nation.
With Russia, we did Paperclip. Obviously, there was a mad dash to grab these guys, out of Germany. And it was, better us than them. And that was the mentality. But Russia snapped up their guys, too, out of Germany to jumpstart their rocket program at that time. What was their intention any different than ours? And I'm talking about the same Nazi scientists that Russia, allowed into the Soviet Union. Was there also a military aspect for the Soviet Union and space, too, as well, just like we had that ideology here?
I'm sure there was, particularly because they saw that the United States dropped the atomic bomb at the end of World War II. They knew that the United States was capable of dropping the atomic bomb, that it would do it. And they were frightened to death about that. And so surely they wanted every advantage they could get. One story that really blows my mind is about Korea during the Korean War in the early 50s. I go to Korea a lot. I've been going there a lot in the last few years and work with the peace movement there quite a bit. And one thing I've learned is that during the Korean War, Douglas MacArthur wanted to draw Russia into the war. And so he sent American bombers over the border into Russia and bombed the hell out of Vladivostok. And Russia didn't do anything. Russia didn't respond. And more contemporarily, in Donbass in eastern Ukraine, where the U.S. puppet regime in Kiev that was installed in a 2014 coup d'etat, that Victoria Nuland, Assistant Secretary of State for European Affairs, working for Hillary Clinton, said that we spent $5 billion on this. She said this at a meeting where Exxon and Mobil and all these big oil corporations were there. Again, they're itching to get their hands on the Arctic with the melting of the ice. So it was a big investment for them to take down Ukraine because they could destabilize the Russian border. But lately I should restate that, on several occasions, the Kiev government, directed and funded by the U.S. Special Forces from Fort Carson, Colorado, are now in western Ukraine at a base training their Nazi battalions, the Azov Battalion. They've incorporated them into the new National Guard. So the U.S. is training them. But anyway, on several occasions, they've blasted shells into Russia, trying to pull Russia into the war. And there's all kinds of claims that Russia's invaded Ukraine, but it's not true. They haven't.
This battalion that you are reporting on, what disturbs me about it is, well, first off, we're training them. That's the first thing. But second, it's the image that they have. They're flying swastikas. You know, they have their own version of it. Same colors, same look, same image that they're trying to portray. And I thought that the world was against that image and ideology completely, and that we wouldn't allow it to ever happen again. But certainly that's exactly what's going on. Don't you find the images and the way that they're trying to make themselves look, isn't that just disturbing on all levels?
Absolutely. And it says to me, and it's not the only country where the U.S. is consorting with Nazis, by the way. There's a lot of countries around the world. In Japan, for example, Shinzo Abe, the prime minister, his grandfather was in the Tojo's war cabinet during imperialist Japan, and they're now getting ready to throw out their pacifist Article 9 of their Constitution at the request of the United States. So they're rearming and re-Nazifying, if you will, and the people in Japan are very upset about it by vast majorities. I urge people to go to our website, spaceforpeace.org, and at the very top of it, there's a video. It's called The Scene of the Crime, Bruce Gagnon at Odessa Trades Hall. And this was where I was just a couple days ago, and I report on the entire massacre that happened on May 2nd, 2014. I went for a second commemoration. And the people, the Mothers Council, the mothers of the victims, more than 50 killed, more than 200 injured, 2 years ago, they were not allowed to go and hold their memorial service at this site. But anyway, I urge people to look at this video. We tried in just a few minutes, it's pretty short, to really spell out what's going on there in Ukraine. I think everybody should see it.
Yeah, we'll post the links up here on Twitter in just a second. And the second that it was made, Bruce sent it to me. I watched it like 5 times and sent it out. We'll get those links up here in just a second. Bruce, why do you think that report that you did in this video is something that any mainstream media journalist would almost be proud of, to go in and get this story told, but yet it's not happening? Why is mainstream media, why are they choosing to ignore this?
Because they're not allowed to, even if they wanted to. Most of them don't want to because they self-censor. They know the boundaries. We hear a lot of media people tell us this, You learn what the boundaries are and you box yourself in. But if you, for some reason, got courageous enough to try to do it, you'd probably lose your job.
Yeah.
Or the article would never be printed, and you'd get a stern lecture, and you'd know not to ever try to do it again.
What happened with that Malaysian airliner that was shot down? I know that you've looked into that. What do you think actually happened?
I think it was the Ukrainian government. There have been all kinds of stories about control tower people in Kiev that saw planes approaching it, and this was people inside the control tower. They thought it was shot out of the sky by airplanes. And you see, it's been now, how long? basically 2 years, and nothing's ever come of it. You know, we've never been given the official report. We probably never will. And where did all this stuff go? The black box, for example, it went to England. Why the hell did it go to England? You know, it wasn't an English plane. You know, why did it go to England? Well, England's part of the corporate axis. That's the way it works.
Why is the Ukraine so important to the United States? There's the natural resources there too as well, but is that really enough for us to go in there? And because this is a big chunk of land. The Ukraine is not small. And I would say that Russia has shown a lot of restraint, considering, like you said earlier, if Russia was doing the same thing on our Canadian border, or Canada was doing this with us it would be a different situation. And this is going down right now in the Ukraine. And you know, I'm not a pro-Russian guy. I don't want to, but I'm just saying it seems like we're poking a stick into the hornet's nest, and we're doing it pretty brazenly.
Exactamente. You know, I think it's several things. One, it's Monsanto wants that good soil in Ukraine, especially in eastern Ukraine, which is predominantly the Donbass region, Russian-speaking people right along the Russian border. So Monsanto wants that for their GMOs. There's fracked gas, they believe, in eastern Ukraine, and Joe Biden's one of his sons has been appointed as to a board of directors of a Ukrainian oil company that wants to go in there and drill. There's the idea of missile defense. The U.S. would love to put missile defense right on that eastern border, right along Russia. And if you want to destabilize and create chaos, just like Syria, for example, or Libya, look at all the chaos that came with regime change, and you know, a failed state now in both, and you know, many of those countries where the U.S. has done this regime change. And so the goal is just create so much instability, so much chaos on the Russian border that you can just, you know, essentially blow that government up, blow it to pieces. And so I think those are all the reasons, plus more, you know. With
the meetings that Reagan had with Gorbachev in Iceland when he dropped, you know, the Star Wars bomb on Gorbachev and forced his hand, it certainly made him think really long and hard. At that point in time, where was our technology with our satellite systems up there? Did we already have something installed?
We did, but it was elementary, basically, compared to today. I can tell you a story from that time. I was watching one of the network TV stations, evening news, and they were doing a story about so much money was being pumped into Reagan's SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative, Star Wars at the time. They couldn't spend it fast enough. And they were building these huge buildings, and they had all these people sitting around with nothing to do because the technology wasn't advanced enough. And so the weapons corporations got so much excess profit at that time, they didn't quite know what to do with it all. And what they did do was began to buy up media outlets with that money. And so in those days, in the early days of Star Wars, we actually could get some corporate media to cover the story, saying this was crazy, Star Wars is crazy, it's dangerous, it's provocative, we shouldn't do it. But today, you can't get any story in the mainstream media because they got all those bases covered.
Interesting. And also there's one other aspect that I find this strange, is our communication systems with the global satellite stuff that we have going on are virtually on every continent around the world. How many continents do we have a communication setup, uplink or downlink?
Virtually all of them, in one place or the other.
We know we have them in Australia, right? Japan.
Yeah. We have them in Australia, Japan, Greenland, Germany, England, of course, the United States, and many, many other countries as well. And so, and that's what makes the whole system tick. as the satellites are orbiting the Earth, they beam their signals down to the ground below them. And so these downlink receiving stations get the signal from the satellite, and they beam it to another satellite, and then it bounces to the United States in the end. So that's how they relay these signals. So without all those downlink stations, the system can't work. And that's where the membership of the global network that I work for comes from. Over the years, we've visited many of these places. We have an annual meeting every year in a different country, and we go and talk to them about what's happening there, and we share stories about what's happening in other places around the world, and peace activists that are saying we don't want our country used for Star Wars are educating one another and building a bigger and bigger constituency all the time.
Is there another country that has that same network that we do globally? No, it doesn't exist, right?
No.
Do we share that capability with any other country?
Well, that's interesting. You know, they say the Five Eyes country, which are Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Britain. Who am I leaving out?
France, Spain?
No. It's one of the English, part of the Great Britain. But anyway, those countries all have these downlink stations, NSA spy facilities. And in those countries, I promise you that their own government is not allowed to know what the United States is doing with that stuff. They're spying on, take for example, in Australia, at Pine Gap, way out in the bush, big place out there, and their government, Australian government's not allowed to know what the U.S. does with it. They're intercepting all phone, fax, email communications throughout the Asia Pacific through that base. They're flying drones, attacking places in the Middle East through that base, and, relaying other military signals from that region to satellites. So the Five Eyes countries, even though they're our allies, they're not even allowed to know what's going on with those places. Their own government, their government officials, their elected officials, their military, their appendages, they're only told what the United States wants them to know.
I have to ask you before I let you go is what do you think about Reagan's famous speeches back in the 80s about an attack from outer space and ET and that we would be globally as one? Do you think that this technology is also used for some enemy that would be off-world?
Well, a lot of people do believe that. It's conceivable that some U.S. militarists might think they could do that. I think it's entirely conceivable. My feeling about it is any civilization, and I do believe there are other civilizations out in space. We're not the only quote-unquote intelligent, planet on the, although I'm not sure how intelligent we really are, but I think if they have the ability to get here and to, they've harnessed that probably ability to time travel, they're not too worried about what we're going to do with our little Star Wars program. I'm not so sure they're shaking it in their boots about that.
Do you think that there's also a hidden agenda with defending against meteors and asteroids and comets, and if something like that was to threaten the Earth, that we would have the capability to either deflect one off its course or destroy it completely, that could be used as an excuse to weaponize space?
Well, yeah, that's been part of their articulation for some years. In fact, there were some years ago they had an office inside the Pentagon whose job was to promote that idea within the public, that this Star Wars would help us defend ourselves from meteor attacks. So yeah, indeed, that's been part of their strategy to sell this to the American people.
Do we have the technology up there now, satellite-based platforms, to take out a Russian or Chinese first strike in their silos?
I don't think yet that missile defense is advanced enough to give the U.S. a successful first strike attack, although they're working on it very aggressively. And I always say these guys are pretty amazing. These scientists, they can bounce a rover around Mars. You give them enough time and you give them enough money, and they just might be able to pull it off. Look at the history of the arms race. We started out with rocks, and we went to sticks, and we went to bows and arrows. Soon we had the Gatling gun, we had the atomic weapon. Who says this is as far as we're going to get, right?
Right.
So, I believe that, again, you give them enough time and money, anything is possible, and that's what I worry about. And that's why treaties like the ABM treaty, the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty, were good, because they restricted either side from even going there. Don't even go there. But the United States got rid of it. In fact, the official policy of the Pentagon today is they reluctantly don't want to do treaties anymore, because treaties restrict their maneuverability.
Is everything that we have in space right now, is it merely a kinetic type of weapon where we're shooting something at one of their missiles before they re-enter into the atmosphere?
Well, that's mostly what missile defense is, but I believe it's very likely that they have other technologies that we're not allowed to know about, that they don't write about in Aviation Week and Space Technology and Space News.
Laser weapons and such?
I think it's very conceivable, especially if they've been reverse engineering, other spacecraft over the many years. So I think it's very conceivable there's something else, but certainly they're not going to tell us about it.
What can we do to stop this, or to at least, in the very least, spread the awareness?
Well, I think the first thing is to know what's going on and to be able to speak about it on an elementary level and talk to other people about it. That's important. And our website is good for that, spaceforpeace.org, spaceforpeace.org. Beyond that, I think we've got to, everything and everyone has an Achilles heel. So what's the Achilles heel of Star Wars? Well, it's the money. It's the largest industrial project in the history of the planet Earth. So much that they want to raid Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and kill what's left of the welfare program. They're twisting the arm of the Allies to put, especially NATO allies, to put more and more and more and more money into it, which means in those countries they have to cut their social programs. They got to have more austerity measures, places like Greece and Spain and Italy, etc. And so I think the way you help defeat all of this is to suffocate it, is to become advocates for social progress, demand social progress, healthcare, education, mental health programs, fixing our roads and bridges, our sewer systems, fixing our water systems that the corporations have let collapse, and the city governments have let collapse under corporate control of those governments, so that they can then privatize them. They're going to say, well, it's going to cost so much money to fix these things, we don't have the money to do it, so we're going to sell it to a corporation, and they're going to fix it up. Well, that's called privatization, and when we privatize our water, we're finished.
I want to do you want to I know you've got a very high temperature. I'm going to tell the audience right now, Bruce is very, very sick. Do you want to hang on for another 24 minutes and do another short segment with us, or do you need to hit the hay?
Yeah, I think I should. I would love to do it. You're a great interviewer. Thank you very much, by the way. But maybe you can have me on some other time.
Yeah, we'll get you on next week. Thank you so much, Bruce. And again, I know how sick you are. The audience appreciates everything in the message. Thank you so much, Bruce.
Thank you, Jimmy. Bye-bye.
I'll talk to you. Bruce Gagnon, this is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'm going to take your phone calls and open up the phone lines after the break. 323-825-5045. Thank you, Bruce.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
mis amigos, yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Not being able to fall asleep is so frustrating. The tossing, the turning, the adjustment of pillows and blankets. Ugh! Eventually you just decide to get up and start your day really early. It doesn't have to be this way though. Power Sleep is an all-natural non-prescription formula that will help you sleep like a baby. It contains neurotransmitter nutrients that promote the production of serotonin, which is responsible for feelings of well-being. Power Sleep is easy to digest and absorb and is made in a base of active probiotics. Don't miss another night of sleep. Order your Power Sleep at energywave.com or call 800-TURTLE-5. Add Power Vites to your cart while you're browsing. Perfect for Monday mornings. They're a complete multivitamin and mineral formula that will give you the energy you need to get through your day. Nourish your immune system and feel great. Get all the info and place your order at energywave.com. Enter code word SLEEP to get free shipping. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With the mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I want to thank Bruce Gagnon for coming on tonight. He called earlier today. He couldn't do it. Temperature skyrocketing. Yeah, he was deathly ill, but he just definitely wanted to come on tonight and get as much done as he could. Plus, on the other side, he's on the East Coast. So it's early in the morning over there. And so anyway, thank you, Bruce, for doing that. We'll get him on next week. So much more to talk about. And his recent trip to the Ukraine, if you can go and check out his video on this, it's an eye-opener what's really going on over there. And it's something that the mainstream media just will not touch. It's crazy, too. You watch this video and you just like, wait a minute. You know, it's very straightforward stuff. This is not anything crazy. You know, it's not out there. It's just the straight reporting. That's all it is. And it's not done over here. So we'll get those links up. If Rita hasn't sent them out yet, we'll get them posted up in Twitter here shortly. So anyway, what do you think about the weaponization of space? And what do you think about that? Should we be doing it? Should, we have all of those other issues that are in play here. Should we have something up there ready in case something is heading towards Earth? An asteroid, a comet, some impending doom, cataclysmic event. You know, we've all seen the movies, but do we have anything in place up there? Right? So the weaponization of space would allow for that. And you would think that Washington would all be into it because they would be able to weaponize space. Nobody else really has the ability or the funding or the technology to actually do it. They could think about it, but it's a whole nother step to take. But certainly we've been doing this with a rather ambitious program going back over 30 years. All the way back to the 80s with Ronald Reagan. And when Ronald Reagan was talking about it, it was like, especially back then, technology was taking off. The 80s, the Sony Walkman, cable TV. I'm being serious. The VCR, right? CDs. Things were taking off at a very, very rapid clip, technically. And we thought that there wasn't any question that we had the capability to do that and that we were doing it. And we certainly didn't have any issues with it. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hello, Jimmy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're live.
Okay, this is Captain.
Hey, Captain, what's cracking?
Okay, listen, let me just say this about the weaponization of space. Even though it's happening, but I can guarantee you there is a entity there in space that will not allow that. Number one, we have the black satellite. The black satellite is definitely not going to allow that to happen. So there's some things that I know that I'm going to pass on to Rita so you guys can read it.
Well, but if an asteroid is ripping towards this planet, right? And we never seem to see them until it's the last minute, right? But and something is coming toward. Are you saying that we shouldn't shoot it out of space? Either deflect it or destroy it completely? Are you saying ET would stop us from saving our own planet?
ET. Let me say this about ET. The reason why the black satellite exists is the protection of Earth.
Okay, the Black Knight satellite is here to protect us. So you say, okay, yes. All right. So in the event of something like that happening, we wouldn't have to worry about it. Black Knight satellite is there to take care of business.
Yes. Matter of fact, 2 years ago, when that comet came in to hit Russia, it did not hit the Earth, but it hit our atmosphere, and it caused some damage to some of the property. But let me say this: Earth will not be destroyed at all. Period. We have enough problems already on this planet with the stupidityness of people having nuclear weapons and think they're going to use them. While the last time they used them was back on back when they bombed Nagasaki, and I'm going to tell you that's the last time they were going to use them. And the other galactic realms will not allow that to happen. So I am almost very confident that the Black Knight satellite is there to protect us. And all this foolishness with the nuclear weapons, all the world leaders know, every world leader know that their nuclear weapons are inoperable. Either the Russians know it, the Americans know it, the Chinese know it. Every nuclear weapon is neutralized as of right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think it's a coincidence that we haven't used them since. And, we've certainly done a lot of testing, but I hear you. Hey, thank you for the call, Captain, and be safe, man. We'll see you tomorrow night right here.
All right. You're quite welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hey, Jimmy, it's Josh.
Hey, Josh, how are you?
Doing all right, brother. I'm out here in Terrell, East Texas, where the phone reception isn't that hot. The weaponization of space, that's just insane. I think they already got quite a bit of stuff up there, that we don't know about. I'm trying to think of what is that with the railgun?
Well, yeah, Josh, that's a really, really good point. And the Navy's got that thing ready to go right now. And I'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's a really, really good point.
And you know, well, instead of, let's say we put weapons in space. I mean, we got weapons on ground here right now, lasers that probably, you know, you don't even have to go into space that you could fire, you know, and lasers.
Josh, I totally agree with you, and thank you for the phone call. Also, it's what we have in space pointing towards the ground too, as well. It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder if everything that we have here on the ground is even worth anything, and to continue to spend the money on. Thank you for the phone call, Josh, and we'll see you right here tomorrow night.
Hi, brother.
Thank you so much, Josh. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hi, Jimmy. It's Fran.
Hi, Fran. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Fran. Another great night on the show. It's another kickoff to another great week, and I'm talking to you. So what's not to love? How you doing?
Well, I was wondering about when I was a little kid living in Japan and went over to the Nagasaki Atom Bomb Museum.
Right.
I walked through there and saw horrific stuff.
Of course you did.
And
yeah,
it just freaked me out as a 8-year-old going, what the hell are we doing here? You know?
Yeah.
It just
yeah.
made me crazy at that time and made me wonder, how is this all going to end? And I was only a little kid. And I can't imagine how children now look at our country and not knowing the history of what's going on. And I want them to know the true history.
Yeah, you know, and nothing affects you like, you know, it goes with anybody. When you look at images of war, I remember when I was a kid and I saw, you know, I'm young, I'm 10 years old or whatever, and I saw that famous image of the kid that was burnt up in Vietnam that was running up the street buck naked.
Oh, right.
Right? And I saw that, I was like, man, what the hell are we doing? You know, wait. Just, we got to stop. Slow down here. You know, and I was just a little kid seeing that, and that those images, if you think about it, not only from World War II was like the last good war, right? If you know what I mean. But Vietnam and everything that has followed after that, we have real-time images that come back right onto our TV screens. Didn't have that during the Romans overtake of the world in 2,000 years ago. We didn't have that, and we didn't have it. Can you imagine what was going on with swords with Alexander? Right? Swords. You know how brutal that is? It's one thing to get shot with a bullet, but how about, all of your arms and legs cut off and you're left there to die on a battlefield for a week? Right? Can you imagine those images? But we don't have that. But today, now we know what war really, really is. And we see it, and we are shocked into our senses and sensibilities of what is really going on out there. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right,
after
Frank.
Vietnam, this new war, whatever it may be called, World War III, they weren't even allowing the pictures of the bodies coming out and seeing all of that stuff, during Vietnam, it was all shown, and it was crazy. It was nuts. We all went, oh my God. But now they don't show everything like they used to, and the kids watching the mainstream media aren't seeing those visual images to where it can affect them.
Well, I agree,
cry.
Fran. I agree and I disagree. And let's not forget that first Gulf War with CNN 24 hours a day showing the bombing of Baghdad. That was real time, live.
Right.
You know, and every time one of those bombs went off in that city, I'm not thinking Iraqi soldiers. I'm thinking Iraqi civilians. It's a friggin' city. The army isn't occupied. You know what I mean? And
right.
That was broadcast right into our homes. And that was very,
that
very
part
disturbing.
Was.
And so we've done it since then too as well. Now, and the other part, Fran, that this is where I just want you to just stop and think. I agree with you, but I also disagree, because now we have cell phones, uploads to YouTube, real time, whenever anything happens. And it's certainly coming out of Syria and Iraq and other places around the world where we see this carnage firsthand.
Definitely.
That the mainstream media has zero control over. Zero. None. They can't control it. So that's another frightening way to look at it. And I totally agree with you. I mean, I 100% agree. But the other part is we are seeing what this really is in real time. I think it's horrific. How many
people are actually watching?
Well, how many times have you heard me say,
That's
Fran?
my question.
How many times have you heard me say, I can't watch this crap anymore? I can't do it.
I can't either.
Yeah. Hey,
I remember when the shock and awe happened in Baghdad, and I was sitting right here in front of my computer, and my TV was on, and I was watching it, and I was crying. Tears would not stop.
Yeah, it was disturbing.
It was horrifying.
You know what else happened at that same period was the space shuttle blowing up over Texas. And that went on at the same time. And I got to tell you, I was mentally worn out. Rita and I were watching all of that stuff, 24 hours a day, and that happened, and that's rough to see this stuff in real time, and that's part of the media world that we live in now. I mean, it's all breaking news, right? Breaking news. So there you go. Yeah. Hey, Fran, I've got Gene Vito calling, so I'm going to say good night, and I'll see you tomorrow night.
Big boom.
I'll talk to you. Thank you, Fran.
Thank you, Jimmy. Love you.
Yeah, love you back. Hey, Gene, how are you?
Hey, good evening. How you doing, boss?
Well, I'm doing great now that I'm hearing your voice. What's cracking?
Well, I just want to say a couple of things. You're right about the images. The people put in a cage and dropped in the water and drowned. Even journalists being crucified live on YouTube and all that. But the thing that I want to bring out is, I enjoyed the guest. I got kind of amped up during his testimony. But what I want to say is the United States, no matter if it's under the control of the military-industrial complex, the Washington cartel, whatever you want to call it, we still, no matter what kind of disaster happens in this world, be it a tsunami, be it a volcano, be it an earthquake, be it a fire, who's the first country that's on the scene and taking care of business and helping people?
Us.
That's right. So that's what I want to bring out. Even though we're under the control of evil and we may be being manipulated by horrible forces, we still have a good side to us, and we always will.
Yeah, you're right. Even with a country like North Korea, if something happened there, some crazy natural disaster, we'll be the first ones, airlifting stuff in.
Yeah, imagine that.
It's the way we are, and that'll never change. That part of us, will never ever change. It doesn't matter what the country is. You're 100% right, Gene.
And here's another thing. The horrible wars that we fought, the atomic bombing of Japan, and the things that we did to Germany, well, why did we do that? We did that because their leadership, number one, Japan attacked us first. Whether that actually happened or whether that was set up by Roosevelt, who knows? But we got attacked first, and by God, we finished it with a boom. And number two, Germany, look, Hitler was a maniac. And we still don't know if maybe the Nazis don't control something here in our own very own country. The Washington cartel could be Nazi-based. Who knows? You know, that's what our job is here on Fade to Black, is to discover these things and to bring it out to the light.
Well, yes, and the thing is, and look, I don't want any of us to lose sight of what was going on at the end of World War II. You know, after Germany fell, Japan kept fighting, and we had the capability. I mean, certainly that capability, I think, even shocked us. What ended up happening with those two, with Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Absolutely.
But that being said, you know what? Man, that Pacific Theater was going on for a long, long time, and it just had to stop. It had to end. And Japan, at the end of when Germany surrendered, Japan kept fighting, and that you have to put that mindset back into play. What was going on here? We had a lot of forces and young men that were committed to the Pacific Theater, and that was that was nasty what was going on out there.
And that's true. And not only that, but if we would have had to conventionally take Japan, think of the millions of Japanese people that we'd have had to kill. You know?
Yeah, and an invasion of Tokyo, which we had already started, and it just it had to end, man. It sucks that it ended the way that it did, but you know what? Japan at the end of the war, they weren't interested in surrendering. They were not, man, and they were going to fight to the last man, and we just didn't. We were tired. The world was tired, and one of the things, we're talking about the Middle East right now, and things but can you imagine? Living through the entire world was at war, man. Everybody had something to do with it.
That's right.
It's a crazy thing to stop and think about.
Here's one more point I'd like to bring up. No matter if we are a twisted country, if we've done a lot of crazy things, look at the other powers in the world. China, how many million people have they killed in their own country, their own citizens? Russia, same story. So, don't be giving them any kind of props. They got to straighten up. They got to be like us in order to gain the trust and what it would take to put them on the same level as us.
Well, that is something that, unfortunately for most of us, well, we're finding out more and more every day, but for most of us, we have no clue what is going on inside of the Chinese government. We don't know. We have no clue what's going on inside of the Kremlin. We have no clue what's going on in North Korea.
We have no clue what's going on in Washington, D.C.
And we have no clue what's going on with our own country. We just don't know. It's nuts to look at it in those terms. One thing that I feel confident about is that the world itself, we're growing up and we are maturing as a race. We're getting smarter, we're getting more compassionate, and we're starting to understand the consequences of our own actions, and we're starting to grow up. One thing, Gene, this is the truth, man. One thing is for sure. We haven't had a World War III. We haven't fought Russia one-on-one. We haven't fought China one-on-one because we can't, and we won't. And we're smarter now. It came so close to jumping off in the past. Can you imagine where we would be today if that actually happened? It would be a no man's land.
That's right.
And so I think that we're just smarter than that as a race.
Anyway, it was good to get it off my chest. I felt like I had to say those things that I said. And thank you, brother, for putting the truth out there and digging deep. You know?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Gene. Thank you so much.
Fade to black forever, brother.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Gene.
Good night.
Gene Vito. Gene. Man, he's got some pipes, don't he? Gene Vito. Yeah, and I agree with Gene about, giving props to, other countries. You know what? Everybody is just as diabolical as we are. Trust me, I get that. I firmly agree. There's one thing that I'm kind of tripping on after talking to Bruce is this. The craziness of not only what's going on with the weaponization of space, but it's the ongoing programs and diplomacy that is occurring around the world. And the fact now that if Trump makes it into office, is he absolutely going to have any idea about what is really going on? He thinks he does. Hotels and casinos and golf courses, right? Hey, man, I built a golf course in China, man. I have China's diplomacy down. No. With what is going on globally, with our own military-industrial complex, our goals, our stated programs that have been going on for decades, right? He doesn't have a clue. And the frightening side of it, the other side, is Hillary does. She's been in the game for a long time. And it's frightening, man. There is not a win here. There is not a win. I have no clue what's going to happen in a few months in this country. I have no idea. But the thought of what would be dropped on Trump's desk if he walks into the Oval Office on what is really going on with the military, with space, with everything, he has no idea. And it's certainly, trust me on this, Donald building skyscrapers and golf courses and casinos, I get that. I really do. But what is really going on in the world, he doesn't have any idea. And how is that going to be explained to him? And when we are talking about, Bruce brought this up in the show tonight, I have certainly brought it up over the last couple of years. But the choking of different economies around the world on purpose with oil and exports and everything else, and that manipulation that we do. It's what we do, right? He has no idea. None. He doesn't have any. He doesn't. He has no idea what is really going on. I'm being serious. And then the flip side is Hillary does. Oh, man, this is Fade to Black. More of your calls right after this short break. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Great show tonight. 323-825-5045. The weaponization of space. Global dominance. It's what we do. Is it the right thing? I want to hear from you. 323-825-5045. I'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal God, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
If your home has hard water and it's leaving white spots, then it's likely that limescale is clogging your pipes. Limescale can cost hundreds of dollars a year in wasted energy and early appliance breakdown. HydroCare systems available at Wave Home Solutions prevent and remove limescale with just a simple filter change every 3 years. There are no salts, chemicals, or magnetic coils. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, just go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
If you're a talk radio fan, AccessRadio.net lets you listen to the best talk shows anytime and from anywhere. Works on your mobile or landline phone, and there's no cost if you have unlimited minutes. No need to use your data. Find your favorite talk show listen lines and discover new ones. Now you can listen on your schedule. Go to AccessRadio.net. That's AccessRadio.net. Save your favorite listen lines today.
Hi, I'm Richard Dolan. When I'm not hosting my radio program, The Richard Dolan Show on KGRA, or writing new books on UFOs, I run a publishing company. I'm proud to say that Richard Dolan Press has published some of the most fascinating books available on UFOs and related subjects. They include Dr. Bruce Maccabee's classic analysis of the UFO cover-up, David Marler's breakthrough book on triangular UFOs, Dr. Richard Sauter's unique work on underground bases, and other classics by Grant Cameron, Chase Kletsky, and Dr. Bob Wood, not to mention intriguing works by Eve Lorgan and Laurie MacDonald that deal with truly bizarre phenomena. I'm proud to publish such high-quality and original works, and there are several amazing books about to be released over the next few months. Go to richarddolanpress.com to learn more.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony. Damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. What do I do during a commercial break? I'm texting with Ray's Hobbs. That's what we do. He's supposed to be working on the other end back at the network, and he's obviously just goofing off, just like yours truly. All right. I'm your also humble host, Jimmy Church, opening up the phone lines 323-825-5045. What do you think about the weaponization of space? The curious thing that I have with all of this is, A, we're the only ones that can do it. That's the first thing. The second thing is we need, I really do, I really honestly believe we need some kind of defense with what's going on with asteroids or a comet, some crazy meteor just barreling towards Earth, right? We need to have that kind of defense. Right? So why? I hope that we have something there. I remember the Soviets saying, I think this was about a year ago, maybe a little longer. They were like, hey, man, we can modify our nuclear missile system to shoot out into space and to take out an asteroid. But we never responded with that. Like we're doing that too. It makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, we're firing them out there anyway to take out another country. Couldn't we take out an asteroid with it? Even if it was really close, but could we do that? Well, certainly that's the weaponization of space. And why wouldn't Washington and the Department of Defense totally back up a situation like that? Because that would be their opportunity to covertly, right, weaponize space. Or have they done it already? When Ronald Reagan said those famous words, I immediately thought to myself, well, there's the excuse, right? Whatever we would use to turn around and point at E.T. and with that alien invasion, all you got to do is 180 degrees, point them towards Earth, and use it for what you would need to here, right? Now, the reason why I'm not so sure, I wanted to get back to the railgun thing, too, as well. Phone lines are open, 323-825-5045, is with North Korea firing and testing missiles left and right. Do we honestly have that technology to take out a missile in its silo? Do we? Because wouldn't we flex that muscle right there and just show North Korea, dude, you're wasting your time. Right? Every time they put one on the, getting ready, and the second those engines fire off, just take it out. Right? They would stop that program in its tracks. So do we not have that capability? I don't know. That's where I get a little bit confused. With all of the anti-missile systems that are installed in the South Pacific around North Korea, why aren't we just demonstrating to them every time they fire off one of those that we take it out with a Patriot missile or something else? Why don't we flex that muscle? I don't understand. Is it because it doesn't work? We certainly don't want to fire at one of their missiles and miss. Right? I don't get it. It makes you wonder. We talk about all of this advanced technology and our capabilities. And then the other thing is the railgun. That's an interesting piece of technology, one that has been demonstrated. Tons of videos of it online. You can go and watch the Navy's railgun. It's frightening. There are different machine guns that are railgun type, magnetic firing, without any, what do I want to say, bullets. It's just projectiles. Frightening stuff to watch those demonstrated. You can watch tons of videos. So with that technology being there, why aren't we using it for somebody, like Iran? Iran firing off a missile. Why don't we just take that out? Just take it out. Take it out. Because then they realize it's a waste of time, right? Unless we don't actually have that technology. I know this much. If I was in the Oval Office, I would literally tell anybody firing off a missile, take it out. But, sir, wouldn't that say, take it out? Take it out. Is there any questions? Take it out. All right. Hey, I got an update on Kyle Odom. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there's a video that made it around on the web today. Kyle Odom in court. Have you guys seen the video? Rita, post the video on Twitter if you can. There's a video. Kyle Odom in court today. And the other inmates that were in court behind him are all in yellow. Kyle's getup was red and white stripes, man. Oh, man. Anyway, so Kyle Odom's in court today. And I have, thank you, Renee, for sending me this. I have the PDF of all of the inmate records at the Kootenai County Jail up in Coeur d'Alene. And every inmate. And what's funny, okay, so Kyle Odom's official stuff is here. All right, this is the current inmate list with pending bonds, current as of today, 5/9/2016. And there it is, Odom, Kyle, Andrew. Now, this is the information that is official on him. Incarceration date, 5/6/2016. So he got in there 3 days ago at 2:37 p.m. local time, by the way. Schedule release date, none. Arresting agency, the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. Arrest date, 5/6/2016. The offense description is listed as first-degree attempted murder. There's a related case here, which is 16-11-1501. Okay, and we're going to check that out. The arrest location, PSB, all caps. Now, he was arrested at the White House, right? At the fence. Interesting, PSB. Arresting officer, W. Kedrosky. First initial W. W. Kedrosky. Arrest type is a warrant arrest, and the bond clearance and description, none. Although, today in court, the judge set bail at $500,000, $500,000. Now, I would suspect that you and your defense attorney would go back and have a bail hearing for a bail reduction. That's kind of a normal, sequence of events. That would be next. Can he bail out of jail? I don't know. $500,000. What do you post for Bon? Isn't it like, thank you, Rita, for posting this? Let me retweet that now. I want everybody to look at this video before I talk about it of Kyle Odom today. So $500,000, what is that, 10%, right? $50,000. What do you put up, a house or something? I don't know. Can he make bail at $500,000, or does he have to put up all the dosh? I don't think so, right? You get a bail bondsman. Isn't that how that works? I guess, right? I've never bailed out of jail, so I've just seen it. You know, I watch CSI a lot. But $500,000. Now, so today in court, how do I want to say this? Kyle Odom didn't look crazy. He doesn't have that vibe. Very bizarre. And to get, the charges read to him and to look at what he was wearing versus the rest of the inmates, they're all in yellow and he's got this red and white striped thing on. So obviously he's some kind of he's some kind of special inmate. I don't know. But his demeanor, he looked, normal. Kind of bizarre. Doesn't have that crazy thing going on. The crazy eyes. It's a very bizarre video. Okay, so I've just retweeted, and I'll help him out if I get the exclusive interview. You'll put up the $50,000. Would you, Eric? Yeah, I wouldn't mind interviewing Kyle Andrew Odom. Anyway, so that's the update. He is in jail, and he had his charges read to him today. Okay, also, we've got a couple of security issues that I want to talk about. Number one, Twitter. Yes, Twitter has banned the U.S. intelligence agencies, and that is plural, from using data miner, which searches through real-time tweets to detect newsworthy events. But also part of that would be terror attacks and protests and things that are going on around the world. And of course, the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, they all are using data miner to look at these trends that are going on to detect something, possibly even in advance. Data miner reportedly said that Twitter doesn't want the intelligence agencies to continue using the service for the fear of the optics, since it would be perceived as being too close to the intelligence arm of the government. They don't want people of the world to think that data miner or Twitter is running hand in hand with the NSA, the CIA, and the FBI. The U.S. government has been using the data miner for about 2 years. Their contract, data miner's contract with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, was worth $255,000 and is still reportedly intact. Now, that's a curious twist to this entire thing, because why would Twitter come out and data miner come out and say, we are banning U.S. intelligence agencies from using their own service? It doesn't make any sense, does it? Why would they know, or how would they have the authority to tell them no, unless you've got a contract, right? And they do. Now, has Twitter broken the contract? Can they break the contract? And how would they stop the NSA or the CIA or the FBI or anybody else from using the services? Right? Because you could hire the service under any name, any corporate entity, any fake false storefront, and you would never know it was the DOD or somebody else in the Pentagon using the services. It's very interesting. What Twitter did tell the DOD is you can use our search engines just like anybody else, but we're not going to give you the inside track. And on another note, which is equally as crazy, equally as nuts, The National Security Agency plans to immediately, right now, discard records containing preliminary workplace complaints that were raised by their own employees. The files set to be destroyed are created by the NSA Ombudsman Program. That's OMBUDSMAN. Look it up yourselves. The Ombudsman Program. It's a low-profile office that resolves conflicts between personnel. It is not the ombudsman's job to handle reported abuses of power. Rather, inspectors general and diversity offices, they deal with those issues. However, and there's always a however, amid a legal battle about the potential improper disposal of whistleblower evidence. Now, I want to back up. When you are talking about workplace complaints raised by employees, now we're into a whistleblower program, one that some human resources department that every company in the United States has. It doesn't matter how big you are. You have an HR person, right? They are whistleblowers, and they need to be protected. And now the NSA says they're going to immediately discard these records containing the preliminary workplace complaints that were raised by employees. How can this be legal? And where is the oversight of this program? There are concerns that informal information reported by informants or victims of retaliation could be thrown out under this policy. Now, somebody, please wake me up from this crazy dream. There is no oversight of the NSA. I am not some crazy loudmouth radio conspiracy host. I am a radio conspiracy host, but I'm not crazy and I'm not loud. But when I hear something like this, one has to ask, who does the NSA answer to? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. They absolutely do exactly what they want to do when they want to do it, and they don't answer to nobody. Unbelievable. Well, here we go. It's happened. Posted this today over on our Facebook page. Go and look at the pictures. Scientists now report that they have grown human embryos in the lab for nearly 2 weeks. Now, there's more to this, and you have to understand what's going on. This is an unprecedented feat that promises advances in assisted reproduction, stem cell therapies, and the basic understanding of how human beings form. But up until now, there's this 14-day rule, which says that human embryos cannot be cultured in the lab for more than 2 weeks. It has never been seriously challenged, simply because no one has succeeded in keeping them alive that long. Allegedly, that we know of. But now, the 14-day, 2 week, for some reason, nature has said, you can't do this. And the process has always broken down. Yes, we're talking not only stem cells, but the thought of cloning and other things, huge implications, are now officially in play. It has been long assumed that this transformation could not persist detached from the mother's uterus. That was always the problem. And now it has been overcome. We are talking about embryos in the lab, in Petri dishes, being grown. Yes. Think about that. El Chapo Got El Chapo news. Oh, look at Bob. Okay, look, I'm going to retweet this right now to everybody. And let me bust a move on this. I'm going to do this in real time. I love doing this. Okay, all right. Let me see. I'm actually tweeting in real time, okay? Because this are the embryos. Look at that. Look at that image. Is that crazy? Grown in the lab. Look at the top right. Is that frightening? Should there be some kind of regulation here right now? Like I said, Mother Nature says 2 weeks, can't do it, and it always broke down, allegedly, what we have been told. But should we really be growing embryos in a lab? I understand the couple that can't have a baby. I get that for whatever reason. I understand stem cell research, stem cells growing them into anything that we want. But this is like a step too far. This right here is just a zone that we don't need to go into. Yeah, man. Mind-boggling. Okay, El Chapo. El Chapo has been cleared for extradition to the United States. He has been moved right now. A Mexican federal judge has ruled that he can be extradited to the United States. And this was according to a release from the Mexican federal court. The decision was in response to a U.S. Department of Justice request. The United States has been preparing for El Chapo's transfer for months and has been trying to work out security details. But it's not clear when El Chapo is actually going to be turned over to U.S. custody. But he's been transferred to a jail in Juarez. Man, what was that movie we just saw about Juarez? What was that movie with the hitman? Anyway, he's been transferred. And he wants to... How bad is the prison that you are in, that you've escaped from whenever you want, right? You're a billionaire. You own... the staff of the prison is on your payroll. You're eating the best food. You've got all of the respect from all of the other inmates. You can do whatever you want. You can escape when you want. You can tunnel out when you want. For all intents and purposes, life is pretty good for him, right? How bad is that Mexican jail that he wants to be extradited to the United States? When you can escape when you want, you eat the food that you want, all the guards are on your payroll, it's no big deal. You're not getting threatened by anything. But apparently it is bad enough that he wants to be extradited to the United States and has demanded this. It's pretty frightening, isn't it? I guess that, I mean, really? Has his life unraveled that much that he's now no longer in control of the Mexican prison system, which apparently he was forever, and now he can't escape. So now he wants out. Maybe they cut him off of the good food program. Maybe they've got guards surrounding him now that are not on his payroll. Right? I don't know, but he really wants out. So they've transferred him to Juarez, which is just a couple of miles from the U.S. border. And any second now, it could be today, it could be tonight during the show, tomorrow, but that's it. He's over in the United States. And guess where he's going? He's going to Brooklyn. He's going to Brooklyn, New York, where he's going to stand trial. There you go. So anytime this week, El Chapo is going to be in a Brooklyn jail. The size of the United States Army has been reduced to the fewest number of active soldiers in more than 70 years. Check this. After more than 2,500 enlistees ended their service last month, their positions have not been replaced. For the first time, shrinking the number of soldiers on active duty to less than what it was during World War II. The current number of active troops is slightly more than 479,000 soldiers. Now, there are a number of armies around the world that are larger than ours, right? We have 479,000. Now, National Guard and everything else, something else, Navy, but 479,000 in the Army. Sicario was the movie, yeah, about Juarez. El Chapo is in Juarez. And I got to tell you, if he's going to escape from anywhere, it's going to be Juarez. Yeah. All right. Well, the world's wealthiest and most influential leaders are stashing away trillions more in cash in offshore accounts than they have in recent years, with China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia funneling the most wealth out of their countries to avoid paying taxes. It's according to a new report that was released today. In all, up to $34 trillion of private money is currently held in offshore accounts. Now, if you don't think that is a lot, it's up from $12 trillion in 2014. So in the last 2 years, we've added $22 trillion in private money to offshore banks. It was $9 trillion in 2010. So I ask you, why are they doing this? Now, to avoid paying taxes? Okay, that's part of it. But when you have that much money, who cares about taxes? That's the first thing. The second thing is, why are they doing that? Why are they moving the money out of the country? The 18-month research project determined that Russians were stashing $2 trillion in offshore accounts, while Chinese citizens, supposedly communist, right, had $1.2 trillion in offshore tax havens. Crazy. Now, who else is on the list? Check this out. Nigeria, Angola, Brazil, and Argentina are at the top of the list. $34 trillion. We're talking about mountains and literally mountains of cash stored in offshore accounts. Absolutely crazy. This is Fade to Black. I'm going to take a quick break. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. I had to get the stuff off of my chest. Your phone calls are next. 323-825-5045. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'll be right back.
Listen to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter. But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Angioprim can clean blocked arteries and improve blood flow in all parts of your body. Angioprim is liquid oral chelation. It's not new science. 50 years of research has gone into chelation, and now there's Angioprim. Easy, simple, liquid oral chelation. You take it with juice before breakfast and forget about it. Angioprim works fast, unlike old-fashioned chelation that takes hours. The first thing Angioprim users say is they have more energy, more strength, more endurance. Increased circulation and blood flow will make all your body parts work better. better. Log on now at angioprim.com to get more information on how you can get started and start feeling better and doing more. Lots more. Talk to a trained Angioprim consultant or go to angioprim.com for help. Call Angioprim toll-free at 877-882-7221. That's Angioprim at 877-882-7221. Get the facts about Angioprim. Begin living the life you want, doing the things you used to do again with Angioprim.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. I want to hear from our friends up in Canada. What's going on with Fort McMurray? What's the latest updates up there? And so there you go. We have enough friends up there in Canada to call in and let us know what's going on up there. I do want to know. All right, 323-825-5045. And let's see, where are we here? Let's go over to Jimmy. Trump's manager quit last week, says he's out of it on an ego trip. Yeah, I could see that. You know, when look, I know that a large chunk of the country has listened to Trump and has bought into it, which is fine. That's you know, any candidate, that's his job to sell himself. So I don't want to dismiss anybody that's a Trump supporter. That's fine. Okay, all right, whatever. But I tend to agree or can appreciate what Idea is sending here in this tweet. You know, that it's an ego trip, because what's left in Trump's life, you know, and, oh, you know what, I'm just going to run for prez. And he's been talking about it for a while. So he goes and he does. Well, I just don't think he expected to be here. He thought it would be fun. You know, when you are stupidly rich, and no matter how much he's worth, that doesn't matter. You know, he says he's worth $10 billion. Let's say it's $1 billion. Let's say he's worth $500 million. Right? When you are that rich, what do you do? What do you do? You can only vacation so much. You can only go shopping so much. You can only buy so much. I mean, how boring is it that you're just, you know, building bigger and bigger houses? I mean, what's there left to do with life? You know, and I'm being straight with this. What is there left? And so with a guy like Trump, he turns around and, you know what, I'm just going to run for president. I ain't got nothing left to do. But now he's stuck. And if he gets elected, I'm just not so sure if he is ready. I am serious about that. I don't know, man. I don't know if he really thinks it's going to be that easy of a gig. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hello, Jimmy. Are we getting feedback here?
Well, no, you are live, and you sound great.
Oh, okay. I thought I had feedback there for a moment. This is Dennis from Edmonton.
Oh, hey, Dennis. How are you, brother?
Okay. You wanted to know about Fort McMurray.
Yeah, man. What's going on up there?
Okay. Well, our premier of our province was up there today, and 90% of the city remains intact.
Oh, that's
2,400 structures gone, but they saved over 25,000 homes.
Now, and that's great news. I mean, look, it's horrible news about what has happened, but it is great news if that is indeed the case. Let me ask you, Dennis, is it because the firefighters stood their ground, or is it because Mother Nature came in and took control of the situation? 90% of the city is still standing. That is great news. But why?
It was the firefighters. It was definitely the firefighters. They had to let 10% of the houses burn to save the rest of the city. So what they did is they prioritized their resources, surrounded the fire coming towards the city, and worked around the perimeter of the fire to make it go a different direction. And through all that, they had to get the whole city evacuated on one highway, north and south. And they managed to get 90,000 evacuees out.
That's incredible. Did they have, let me ask you this, Dennis. Down here in the United States, as you know, I mean, half of this country burns down every single year, in wildfires. And it's crazy what happens down here. Do you guys have wildfires up in Canada like we do down here? Are you guys equipped to deal with it?
Oh, yes, definitely we are. We have northern fighters, we have planes, we have, we have basically the same setup as you do. Only we have specialized jumpers. We have tankers. Right now there are, 40 other fires burning right now. So our resources are really spread out. But luckily those ones have been smaller than the one at Fort McMurray. So what happened was Edmonton, Calgary, a place called, you wouldn't hear of the other towns, but they sent all the resources they could. And they worked 24/7 in shifts until that fire was basically forced away from the city.
Did it ever start? Did it ever start to rain?
It rained yesterday, so that helped.
Right.
Today, the cooler weather helped, and the wind changed direction yesterday, away from the city and away from the refineries and the oil companies.
Right.
So they're no longer in danger. The oil has been shut off as a precaution.
Right.
There is no electricity in the city. There is no gas in the city. The water has been contaminated. So they do not know how long. They won't know anything for 2 weeks. We've got something like, I think, what was it, 15,000 evacuated to our city alone, if not more. 30,000.
Yeah.
30,000, 30,000.
How are you guys? That's like a refugee crisis. How are you guys able to do that? Is everybody, as far whether you have food and shelter and everything else, but is everybody okay? And are they going to be able to stay where they are for an extended period before they're allowed back into Fort McMurray? Because that's not going to happen anytime soon.
No, they're not going to know for at least 2 weeks when they can go back, which means for 2 weeks they will have to be settled elsewhere. We've got 30,000 here in Edmonton, about 5,000 in Calgary, and 2,000 in a little town called Lake Labiche, as well as other places like family. People have opened their homes. Apartment complexes have given their free suites that are open to refugees. The Expo Center here has opened their beds. Churches, you name it, schools,
Hotels.
have opened up centers.
I can imagine every hotel room in Edmonton is booked.
They've opened their free rooms as well. Albertans have raised $62 million, which the government is going to match. Calgary, or I should say Premier Notley, has authorized $100 million for aid. We'll learn more about where those funds are going on Wednesday.
Has Trudeau been up to Fort McMurray?
He's going to be there, but he says right now he has to stay away because he would only get in the way. But he's planning to go up there. And Notley went up there because she went up with an escort of reporters because everybody wanted to know, since the fire more or less moved off, what was left. And so they brought photographs out and film footage for people to see exactly what happened up there.
Did the United States send any resources up there? You know, any firefighters, any planes, any water dropping planes, anything like that?
No, Trudeau said we didn't require any international aid. And it looks like we probably won't have to unless it comes towards any type of... Right now it's hit the Saskatchewan border, which is, I would say about 20, 40 miles from where its present location is.
Right.
You might have a few communities in danger there, but right now that's maybe a very iffy ongoing situation right now. But there is rain expected in the next few days, and hopefully it'll be enough to dampen. Right now it dropped from like 28 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in your temperature, about what, 70?
Yeah, I don't have a clue. This is the one time where you would almost welcome chemtrails.
Yeah, that's about it. It's a very ongoing situation. We get reports almost daily. The news channel, the main news channel here, is almost 24/7 on the news. And there is probably nothing we don't know about it.
And still no deaths?
Sadly, 2 girls did die in a car accident during the evacuation.
Okay, that's sad, but okay, it's kind of weird to say it in these terms, but only 2, considering 90,000 people, the entire city evacuated. We've all been watching the video coming out of there, and it is absolutely insane to look at, to see the city right there with bumper to bumper cars rolling out of town, and the background is completely red, and just it's enormous. You can't even put it into words.
Yeah, they had 20 minutes. Some of them 20 minutes to just grab. They had 20. There was a firestorm, a wildfire. It was a firestorm, and they had 20 minutes to get out. Some of them were in their driveways, and when it came up over the hill in the backyard, and they had to drive through the flames of their burning neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Well, it looks like a disaster was averted, and now when you say that 90% of the city is okay, does it look like it is going to continue on that way, that Fort McMurray now is not going to burn to the ground, and that everything should be okay?
It should be okay. The fire department is mostly concentrating on hot spots, making sure that nothing else erupts. The flames have turned away from the city and are going to the northeast, away from the city. And luckily also away from the refineries. I might add that some of the refineries have fire precautions. The trees have been cleared away for that very purpose of fire.
I had read something earlier today. I wanted to ask you about something. I've never heard of this. Of course, this is when you find out about stuff like this, but that the oil sand would not catch on fire. What is oil sand?
Basically, what it is it's natural oil in the ground. It's the very rawest oil. It's a tar. It's just beaded in the ground. It's just natural. It's been brought up from the depths of the earth by basic tectonic motion of the earth. And when the glaciers came over Canada, it basically scraped away all this and revealed all this oil. All we got to do is just scrape it up, filter it, and refine it and send it through a pipeline, which is it's called bitumen. It's a very raw form of oil, and basically you can't light flame to it. Okay, to light oil on fire, you have to have it refined. It has to be mixed, chemically mixed.
I did not know that.
Yeah, bitumen is it's like a tar, and it's the same way. This is putting it very simply. If you were to try to light your tire on fire, or a piece of pavement, but basically what the oil sands are is it's natural. It's already there. It's laying on the ground. All the miners do is just basically scrape it off layer by layer and by layer and by layer, and until you've got enough, and you send it into a truck and dump it into the refinery. It takes out the bitumen and sends it off to be refined.
I needed to. I got to ask you while you're here, Dennis. I know that you were listening to Bruce Gagnon earlier. What do you think about the weaponization of space and what is going on out there, and what he had to say today? It was very interesting.
I believe that the weaponization of space is inevitable. We as human beings have a tendency to weaponize most anything we can get our hands on, if not from something else, from each other. It's just the way it is. It's our need for profit, our need for power. We feel if we don't defend what we have, somebody else will take it from us. But therefore, anything that we get our hands on is going to be weaponized. It just falls. It's just logic. As for, I don't really believe in. I don't want to say I'm dismissing it, but I don't really believe his Nazi theory, but that's me.
Okay, fair enough. But what about the weaponization of space to defend against asteroids or comets or something cataclysmic?
I wouldn't recommend it. Experimentation here has shown that if you try to explode something, the size of New York, or even the size of, even if it's just 1 mile across or so, you're going to have bits and pieces flying all over the place. You're going to have, you would need something of it to totally need to vaporize the meteor. And splitting it in half, or splitting it in 4, or even 100 pieces. Now you've got a whole shower of meteorites, pummeling the Earth. And not only that, you've just made them radioactive. So now you've got little big pieces of radioactive meteorites destroying neighborhoods, if not whole cities. No, I don't believe in using nuclear arms or even what do you call a rod? They want to use those rods,
right,
for impact.
Right.
Yeah. No, we need something. We need something a little bit more logical than that. I like that idea of using the solar power, laser beams or heat to drive it off its course, but we would need time for that. Something lighter, perhaps hitting it, lighter than the meteor itself, to actually rebound it off. But again, that would take international effort, and we just don't seem to be cooperating when it comes to cooperation for an asteroid threat, specifically.
Well, you know what?
It's just not there.
Yeah. Well, what wouldn't surprise me is I picture satellites right now in orbit that have like little missile platforms on them with a bunch of little missiles, right? Little guys that you see on the back of trucks, or whatever. And in the event that we need them, those things point and take out every satellite that they need to very quickly. And I'm sure that platform is up there. There's just no question that it's up there. And so there's that side of it. And if we have something like that up there, which I'm sure that we do, what would stop us from having something just a little bit larger with bigger missiles to turn around and point at something that we would need to take out, like an asteroid or a comet that is coming here? I would feel more comfortable that we did have that. I wouldn't have an issue with it.
I don't think anybody else would have an issue at it. If we're right now at this point in time, we really would have no choice. It would be a last-ditch effort. That would what we got, so we might as well use it and hope we come out, and that there are survivors after it's all said and done. I could see detonating one of them, or all of them, in front, using a timer, exploding them in front of the asteroid. The concussion might change its course.
Of course.
That's secondary, maybe.
See, because, and I'll tell you why, Dennis, and thank you for hanging on and listening to me babble with these questions. But in the event of, because every time that an asteroid is found, it seems to me that they go, we didn't know about this. That shocks me that we are not aware of what's going on out there. It's always some amateur astronomer that finds these objects, right? Well, and some of them are astonishingly close to Earth, and they just appear to appear. But if one was on crash course to Earth and it was a mile across, that would be huge. That would be the end of things. But and they said, well, you know what? We don't have a way to stop it. I'm serious. I would step back and go, what do you mean we don't have a way to stop it? That's not the answer. So it just seems to me that there must be a plan in place. There must be something that we don't know about. And it's probably best that we don't know about it. But there must be a plan in place. There has to be. Would you really accept somebody saying, you know what? No, it's just going to hit. We can't do anything. Are you going to accept that? That's not the right answer, is it?
No, it isn't. To me, there is probably something up there. I do agree with you with that. There's probably something up there, and I wouldn't accept a no for an answer, because I think by then the panic would probably... you know what? I think that actually it would take a panic for the countries to join together. And I was getting up here. Oh, yeah, that's what I was talking. Eros. I believe it was called Eros, the plan back in the 70s to stop a meteor, right?
Yep, that's right, Eros. Yep.
Yeah, I think it was Eros, yeah. I'm sure that's advanced. I mean, it's been, 40 years now?
That's right.
I'm sure that they say we're always 30 years ahead of our technology of what we know.
Yeah, I totally...
So I would presume that Eros has come a long way since then.
Hey, Dennis, thank you, man. And thank you for the report. And we'll see you right here tomorrow night, brother. Keep doing what you do.
Okay, thank you very much, Jimmy.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night. Yeah, man, Canada right now. Whew, disaster averted. All right, Dino, you want to have the last word tonight,
back to Callie. How are you tonight? That's one issue that really has me up. For years, I've been concerned probably as much about the nuclear proliferation and overkill as these asteroids. And I remember answering a questionnaire that one of the parties put out and said, what are some of the issues? And I remember writing that in back in the 90s. And guess what? The next year, they had it as one of the questions. Are you concerned? How much effort should we put into diverting asteroids and meteorites? And this is the thing. I disagree with you on maybe we don't need to know. I think we do need to know. I'm so tired of our tax money, hard-earned, being spent. We can vote for people to get into office, but we can't seem to vote for expenditures. Wouldn't that be interesting if we had an initiative statewide and nationwide to break up the percentage that we're going to spend? And so I don't know. I worry about that. I don't know if we have tech up there that could divert an asteroid that could end life on Earth as we know it.
Dino, I'll tell you what, and I'll put $20 on this right now. Asteroid coming to Earth, $20, man-to-man bet. Asteroid, mile across, coming towards Earth. And our commander-in-chief comes on the screen and says, we've got an asteroid headed straight to Earth, but we've had a secret covert project, and we've got something out there right now. We're going to blast it towards this asteroid, and we're going to take it out, and we'll get back to you. You would be the first person to step up and go, man, I'm really glad I didn't know about it and that it's in place, because if we would have known about it, we would have screamed about wasted dollars. We would have screamed, but now, the asteroid's getting taken out. You would be the first one to step up and go, you know what, I'm glad.
No, no, I wouldn't, because I'm a more enlightened person, and I know how serious it is. I mean, the place I live now, I'm up on a hill, and I see these things come in every night. And, they're small, but when you start seeing them come in, I know that they're, I know that there's a real danger there. And so I think that a lot more people are getting educated to this. It's no longer just a bad science fiction movie. And so I don't want to be told, oh, yeah, I'm so glad you didn't tell me. No, I want to know it all. I've always stated that on this program. Full disclosure. Sure. I don't care what Stanton Friedman says. I think if it's being hidden from us, and we're paying for it, no good. Yeah, in a thing where it affects someone's life and it's an immediate threat, yeah, you can keep things secret. But this has gone on too long. It's gone on for, 3/4 of a century.
I hear you, Dino, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying
I know
is,
what you're saying. I'd be glad. Yes, I would be glad that the tech was there. But I wouldn't be screaming about it if they put it up now and told us about it and say that's a waste of money. I wouldn't.
Every conscious person across the country that would normally be pissed off about something like this, they would all be happy. They would all be happy that their organic gardens in the backyard or on the roof could continue. Because,
I got your point.
Okay, yeah. That man, as crazy as it sounds, we would all be happy that Ronald Reagan stepped up. That's all I'm saying, man.
Yeah, bless the Aquarian.
Man.
Tomorrow night I'm going to try to ask that of John Lear, because I think maybe he could tell us a little bit about whether that tech is up there now.
Yeah, possible. We'll find out tomorrow. Thank you so much.
I can't wait. We're all excited.
Thank you so much, Dino. Behave and be well.
I'm going to sleep well. Good night.
Good night. Yeah, man, tomorrow night, John Lear. This has been Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Thank you, Bruce Gagnon, for sticking it out tonight, man. He was seriously ill, but it was a great conversation. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, Jonas. Thank you, Dennis, for the call tonight, and thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale. Webmaster is Drew, the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication, KGRA, The Planet. Thank you to everyone that called in tonight. Thank you, Bruce Gagnon. His website is space4peace, 4, space4peace.org. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2016 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter right now at JChurchRadio. Tomorrow night, John Lear, the real John Lear. Everybody be safe. Go Beckley Teppy.